Hi everybody, let's get to work on the Business Unit 4 from my lab. Okay, so here on the screen I have open the Excel file called Hotel Schedule, and you should go ahead and download from my lab all of the files that come with Business Unit 4. But in the instructions, step 1 tells us to open up the file named Hotel Schedule. So that's the one I have open. Then step 2 says on the schedule worksheet. So I'm going to make sure that I'm active on the schedule worksheet. That's this one. Create a validation list rule in cells. Actually, I'm going to just zoom this down a little bit because we're not working with content. We're just going to do data validation. So create data validation rule for cells A7 through A26, so that big range, with the source of that list. So we're going to do data validation to a list, and the source of that list is going to be on the employees worksheet, cells A3 through A12, A3 through A12. Okay, oops, I went a little bit too far. A3, come on. This is how we're going to start A3 through A12. Okay, so now I've highlighted on the employees sheet, you can do the same, A3 through A12, and we're just going to happen to notice, stop, hang on. Okay, sorry about that little minor interruption. Okay, so on the employee sheet, select the range A3 through A12 and notice the name that is already assigned to this range. The file comes to us with this name. It's called employees. We're just going to notice that. And then the rest of step 2 tells us how to structure that data validation. Okay, so back to the schedule sheet. I have selected the range A7 through A26. I have that still active here. So from the data tab, in the data tools group, I'm going to select the data validation button, data validation. All right, so let's click that button. If you need to, make sure you're active on the settings tab. Under allow, we're going to choose the list. In the source box, go ahead and click your mouse so that your blinker is blinking there in the source box. Now with your mouse, click the employees sheet. Again, select the range A3 through A12. Notice the name that pops in, fine by us. That's actually perfect. Do not click anywhere else. Go over to input message. Then take a look at step 2 in your instructions. Enter the input message. Enter the input message. There it is. Oh, hang on. Choose a name from the list, period. And then I'm just going to double check to make sure I have it exactly accurate according to the instructions, because we know the system's so darn picky, including the period at the end. Capital C. All right, looks good to me. And then enter the input message. Enter the message invalid name. I think they mean that's the title. Invalid. Let me try this again. Invalid name. Hang on. I just want to double check this. Enter the input message. Choose a name from the list. Enter the message invalid name. I think that's not our title. I think that part of it, I'm going to delete that out of there, right? That doesn't make sense as a title. I'm going to go over to error alert. I think they mean enter the error message, invalid name. Let's type it there, including the period, invalid name, including the period. All right, and then let's go ahead and click OK. Then the system says, in cell A7, select the name Eric Mosley. So click that little down arrow, and he's the first one, Eric Mosley. Step 3, let's keep going. In cells C7 through I26, create a list validation rule. So let's select that range. C7 all the way through I26, this great big range in the middle, I26, there we go. Back up to data validation, so go ahead and click data validation. we have to go over to settings. We're going to create, under the allow box, we're going to create a list. And it says, step 3, create a list validation rule with the source from cells A3 through A9 on the Shifts worksheet. So we're going to click in the source box. Our little cursor is blinking. We're going to go to the Shifts worksheet, and we are going to select A3 through A9, A3 through A9, A3 through A9. Leave the input and error messages blank. Perfect, so we'll just click OK to that. All right, step 4, in cell C3, there we go, create any value validation rule with an input message that says. All right, so click on cell A3. It's a merge and center field. That's all right by us. Under the Data tab in the Data Tools group, go ahead and click Data Validation. Under Settings, we're going to let it say any value. That's what our instructions say, any value. Now, over to Input Message. Step 4 says, Input Message, that says, here we go, type, enter the starting date for the week period. Enter the starting date for the week. So you're going to double check your work and make sure it matches the instructions exactly. All right. And then that's all we're going to do is have an input message for that one. We saw this in, what was that, chapter 8? That sometimes we do this with data validation rules. We just have it pop up a little message. So go ahead and click OK. And then it says in step 4, type the today function in cell C3. So I'm still active on cell C3. I'm going to type equals TOD. I'm going to accept the today function, the opening parentheses. You can add the closing parentheses and press enter. All right, step 5. Now, if you want to, save your work so you don't lose anything. Step 5 says in cell J27, I'm going to click on cell J27. In cell J27, correct the formula so there's no longer a circular reference. And however you like to identify that circular reference, if you want to use trace precedence, if you want to use the error alert, however you want to do it. What we have to do in the end, however you want to identify the circular reference, what we want to do in the end is fix it so there's no longer a circular reference. So for me, up in the formula bar, I'm going to click my mouse and I'm going to change it so that it says sum J7 through J26. It has to stop before it gets to me, and I'm in J27. So it's going to say sum J7 through J26, and then I'll press enter. So there's no longer a circular reference. On the employees worksheet, delete column B. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save my work very quickly because we're about to create an error. So I want to save it before I create that error. All right, now step 6. On the employee worksheet, delete column B. So I'm going to go over to the employees worksheet. I'm going to do it. Delete column B. Where are we? Delete column B. This will cause an error on the schedule worksheet. So back to the schedule worksheet. There it is. There's our little error message. Open the hotel employee workbook. So I'm going to go File, Open. I'm going to go back to the location where I have saved my Business Unit 4 files. So I'm going to open up, I have a little folder called Business Unit 4, and I am going to open up the file called Hotel Employee. Now, you can ignore my funny file names. I have multiple copies. You will just have Hotel Employee. Go ahead and open up Hotel Employee. All right, then step 6 says, on the hotel schedule workbook, in the schedule worksheet, modify the VLOOKUP so that now it points to Hotel Employee. Okay, so are you ready? So on your taskbar, you can't see it very well on my screen, but I have we all should have two Excel files open. So if I hover my mouse on the taskbar, it shows me that I have the two files open. Give me just a second to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to hop back to hotel schedule. So I'm going to hover my mouse over the Excel icon. I'm going to click on hotel schedule. I'm going to click on cell B7, that's where my error is, and I'm going to adjust the VLOOKUP. So the VLOOKUP used to point to this name called employee ID, and we deleted it. That's what's causing the errors, because we deleted that range. So here in my formula, I'm going to delete where it says employee ID. I'm going to delete that reference where it says employee ID. So there's going to be nothing between those commas right now. All right, now my mouse is there blinking between the two commas. It's ready. Here we go. I need to go back to the other Excel file, the one called Hotel Employee. So for me on my keyboard, I'm going to press and hold Alt-Tab. That's going to flip me back to Hotel Employee. Here on the Hotel Employee workbook, I am going to select, it's going to tell me here, to reference cells A6 through B15. So I'm going to select A6 through B15. A6 through B15. I'm going to select that range, and then I'm going to let go of my mouse, and I'm not going to touch anything else, except the very next thing I'm going to do is press Enter on my keyboard, so that new reference is sitting there. When you press Enter, it goes down a cell, of course, go back up to B7, and just look at it. Now your VLOOKUP points to the file name Hotel Employee. Mine's much longer, don't worry about it, but yours should say that file name for Hotel Employee, and then the name Employee. That range has already been named, and it's been named Employee. Okay, all right. Step 7. On the schedule worksheet, in cell, oh wait a minute, sorry, back up to step 6. Does it tell us to fill it down? Yeah. Oh, yes. Yep. Sorry. They say it in a different way, but we have to fill this down through B26. So I'm going to take this formula and I'm going to fill it down through B26. There we go. So that even though there's no data in there, it's now fixed for all of them. Okay, now step 7. On the schedule worksheet, select A6. There we go. And then insert a hyperlink to go to the employees worksheet. Add a screen tip, so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm active on cell A6. I'm going to say insert. In the links group, where are we? In the links group, I'm going to say insert link. Insert link. Okay, and then we are going to go to a place in this document. We are going to go to what's the name of our sheet? We are going to go to, the employees worksheet. Oh, just to the employees worksheet. On the employees worksheet, cell D2. So in the cell reference, we're going to type D2. We're going to add a screen tip. So up in the right-hand corner, go ahead and click screen tip, and the screen tip is going to say, go to the employee, oops, not capitalized, worksheet. There it is. Go to the employee worksheet. No period. The word employee is capitalized. All right, let's click OK. Click OK one more time. And then it says go to the employee worksheet. Click on cell D2. Click on cell D2. Insert a hyperlink to go to the schedule worksheet. And then have a screen tip. All right, so I'm here on D2. I'm still under the Insert tab on the ribbon. In the link group, click Insert Link. We are going to go back to the Schedule worksheet. Screen tip is going to read, go to the schedule worksheet. No period. Go is capitalized and schedule is capitalized.